Hey everybody, welcome to a brand new episode of Tomb of Terrors. I'm your host, Old Man Brad. Whether you are new to the show or returning for another episode, thank you so much for giving me a listen. If you love the show, drop me a review over in your favorite podcast app, or become a patron, patreon.com/oldmanbrad. Also, make sure to follow me over on Letterboxd. Just look for Old Man Brad, and you can see all the crazy watches that I do. All right, so Fantastic Fest just happened. It went over the past week. It just finished right before recording on this. I had the chance to do remote coverage for it. I watched 12 films in total for Fantastic Fest. So I'm going to kind of recap my watches, what to watch for, and honestly, everything I watched through this was good in its own right. There wasn't anything that I'm like, oh my gosh, you need to 100% avoid this. Everything was very enjoyable. I had a great time. I also have an interview for you. This is a little bit of a different style of interview for me. It's not a recorded interview. I talked to Kenichi Ugana, the director of The Curse. He was at Fantastic Fest and we weren't able to kind of figure out time and connect and everything else. So I emailed him questions and he sent me his responses, and I'll read through that and give a little more of a behind the scenes for The Curse. But before we dive into Fantastic Fest, if you are in the Cincinnati area, come out to Frightful Fridays on the third Friday of the month. So thankful to be partnered with the Esquire Theater to host a horror screening once a month. Our screening for October, on October 17th, this film has been highly requested for me to get. I'm excited that we're able to screen it, and that is Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. October 17th, 10 p.m., Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Come out and let's watch a movie together. All right, let's dive into Fantastic Fest. So Fantastic Fest ran from Thursday, September 18th until Thursday, September 25th. There's so many films that played there. I mean, some big films like Black Phone 2 played there, Stranger's Chapter 2, Deathgasm 2, which I really want to see. I love the first Deathgasm. Shelby Oaks, Sisu, Road to Vengeance, and so many others. Tons and tons of movies. I mean, VHS Halloween, watch for a review of that coming soon. But I didn't get to see everything. Not everything is part of remote coverage. I watched what I could kind of, fit into my schedule. Like I said, I watched 12 movies in total. Going to go through each one. I'll tell you the 12 movies I watched. Theater is Dead, Coyotes, 13 Days Till Summer, The Vial, Dolly, Appofeniacs, Marama, Bad Haircut, Meat Kills, The Curse, Deathstalker, and Beast of War. And as I said at the beginning, there isn't a single film out of these 12 that I would not recommend to watch. They're all entertaining in their own way. There may be parts of some of these movies where I'm like, this piece didn't work, or I wish they would have gone this way. Overall, this was really solid. I think this year's watches were better than last year. I'm trying to remember what all the movies I watched last year, but overall, just as I finished up going, I think this list that I watched is stronger than what I watched last year. We're going to dive in and talk about a few of them. We'll start with Bad Haircut. I'm not going to dive too much into it. If you want to go deeper into Bad Haircut, listen to my previous episode where I talked to writer, director Kyle Misak and producer John Petro about Bad Haircut. Bad Haircut was just a funny, entertaining film I just really enjoyed. So I'm not going to dive too far into Bad Haircut. Go listen to my previous episode where you'll get a whole lot more insight on the film. So let's talk about Coyotes. Coyotes is directed by Colin Minihan. Trapped in their Hollywood Hills home, a family fights for survival when caught between a raging wildfire and a pack of savage coyotes. This stars Justin Long, Kate Bosworth, Mila Harris, many others. I had a blast with this movie. This movie, it was hilarious, full of carnage, full of coyotes chasing down people, stalking, hunting people, bloody moments, and funny. It had that mix that creature feature mix, kind of like Cocaine Bear. Many moments that made me think of, a double feature of Cocaine Bear and Coyotes. There were a few CGI moments with the Coyotes that didn't look the best. They just looked too glossy, overtly CG. Almost, I'm not throwing out that it was used, but almost some of those images you see of AI where it kind of looks overly processed. But the CG, there were only a few moments where it just like really hit. Other than that, it was mostly fantastic. It was really good. Justin Long and Kate Bosworth were great in this. It comes out in theaters next week, October 3rd. You can go check it out. And if you just want a hilarious, bloody creature feature, go check out Coyotes, because I think that you'll have a good time. Like I said, I enjoyed the watch. I had fun with it. Even with some CG gripes that could be budgetary reasons, I don't know. But it didn't affect how I felt about the movie. I still had fun. Next up, let's talk about 13 Days Till Summer. So this is directed by Bartosz M. Kowalski. He did a few previous movies that were on Netflix. Nobody Sleeps in the Woods Tonight, 1 and 2, which those were fun movies in their own right. So I was excited to check this out when I saw that he directed them. When someone brings a mask and a crossbow to a party instead of chips, the carefree night turns into a fight for survival. Technology fails, the murderer takes control of the security system, doors close, windows lock, and the house turns into a prison. So this one was an interesting watch. It was like this mix of a home invasion movie and a slasher. The one thing I loved the most out of this is the mask. The mask was really cool. It's an upside down face. It's creepy. Like it has bigger eyes than a normal face, and it's kind of painted like it's very lifelike looking. It's like a almost doll-esque but human. It is creepy, and honestly, I would have loved to see more chases with the mask throughout this. For those who have seen Here for Blood, there is an upside down mask in that as well that is really cool. It made me think of that right away. But this movie, it's not going to blow you away, tread any new ground in the home invasion / slasher. It is kind of your typical film in that regard. You have young kids having a party, and then they start getting picked off one by one. Your twist to this, it kind of made me feel like The Purge. In The Purge, before it starts off, they have a security system with gates and everything else. Doors lock, gates come down, and they're locked in so nobody can get in. This time, that very thing happens, but they're locked inside with the killer, and they cannot get out. And then it just goes on with some good kills, and you have this chase. Who's going to survive? Who's not? My biggest gripe with this, is the very final scene of the movie. You have this great kind of a slasher film where I'm like, okay, this is really solid. It doesn't tread new ground, but it's a solid film. Creepy mask, good kills. You're going through it, has a twist of who the killer is, and you're like, maybe if I watch through again, you can pick up on who it might be. Scene towards the end where it's like, oh, this is kind of might be a downer kind of film. And then it cuts to the final scene of the movie. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but in all honesty, it kind of pissed me off. I was like, no, you're not going to do this, are you? Yes, you are going to do this. And that's how you're going to leave us. It went from being solid to, yeah, it was fine. Just that final scene just knocked it down because it angered me. I had to message some other people I know that were covering this fest. And I was like, have you watched it? Can I talk to you about this final scene? Because I just need to vent for a second. 13 Days Till Summer. If you add it to a watch list and you see it, when it eventually drops, please let me know what you thought of the very final scene. I mean, we can talk about it and vent with each other if you need to. All right, next up, let's talk The Vial. This is written and directed by Mahid al-Ansari. Devoted wife and mother, Amani, whose life begins to unravel when her husband returns home with a second wife and an unseen darkness infiltrates her life. This movie is very dark. It is a slow burn movie of this woman who, they seemingly have what seems like a very happy family. They have a daughter that she's kind of playing games with her daughter at the beginning. They're laughing. They're having a good time. And then there's the knock at the door. She answers, and it's her husband with another woman. And it's like, excuse me? Who is this? What the F is going on? He's basically like, you couldn't give me, I want to have another child. She is part of this family now. We can all live together. We can all get along. And Amani and her daughter are just like, what? I mean, it threw him off. There are some supernatural elements as the story kind of gets dark. She's trying to figure out what is going on. Her whole world just got turned upside down and she just doesn't know what to do. So you're kind of spiraling into darkness with her as she is wrestling with this new piece that got thrown into her life. Overall, this is a solid movie. Like I said, it's a slow burn. It does take its time to really set up these characters. It really takes its time with this woman and how this whole thing is affecting her and what it's doing to her. It's not like some of these where it's all blood and guts, but yes, this is a slow burn. Another one to add, all of these, add them to your watch list. Watch for them coming out in the future. But The Vial, a dark, slow burn that is very enjoyable. All right, next up, I want to talk about another slow burn movie that was beautifully shot, and that is Marama. Directed by Toa Stappard. 1859, when a young Maori woman is summoned from New Zealand to North Yorkshire, she uncovers her horrific colonial heritage and is compelled to confront and destroy the titled Englishman who devastated her family. Stars Ariana Osborne, Toby Stephens, Umi Myers, Errol Shand, Jordan Mooney, and others. And this movie is stunning. The cinematography in this movie is fantastic. It is another one that is a slow burn. This woman, played by Ariana Osborne, she's so good in this. She comes to England and she thinks she is there finding out more about her family. There are questions with her family, and it's Toby Stephens who brings her in. It just dives into a side of this old world of colonization, kind of destroying a race of people, taking on natives and, these Maori people. There comes a point in this film, she's trying to figure out what's going on, figuring out the past of her family, a sister, mom, grandmother, this whole history of her family. And there's a scene where she does this dance, this Maori tribe dance, and the energy she puts into it. It's a very powerful scene. And then after that, she basically is like, you don't want to fuck with her. It leads to this ending that is dark, heartbreaking, bloody as well. This movie is a very powerful movie. 100% one you have to add to your watch list. It was just very well done. Like the cinematography, like I said, it just looks beautiful. There are many scenes that made me think of like Crimson Peak or Guillermo del Toro films, especially the way they use this woman wearing a red dress. Some of the other colors are a little muted, so the dress just stands out. The countryside shots, everything else. It is just a good film. Definite recommend. All right, let's dive into The Curse and my interview with Kenichi Ugana. So this is written and directed by Kenichi Ugana. After seeing her friend's disturbing social media posts, Riko tries to intervene to help her, but fails to prevent her from dying a mysterious, violent death. Convinced there is more to the story than a suicide, Rico dives into the world of memes, influencers, and posting for attention. As the pile of bodies grows, and Rico faces her own possible curse, she and her friends travel to Taiwan to find the source of this demonic social media killer. This right here was a solid watch. There are 2 movies in this and Appofeniacs, which I'll talk about here in a minute, that deal with social media, influencing, AI, what we kind of consume, and what it does to us. This kind of takes that social media influence side of things and turns it into an entity, a demon, a curse, a thing. It is scary to think about what social media does to us. I have seen it with my kids. There's been multiple times there's comments been made where I'm like, no, you need to not take everything that you see as full fact. I mean, there's a reason they're called influencers, because that's what they do. They influence you. You add a curse, a dark entity to that, makes for a good movie. Movie I talked about last year that is on Screenbox, Visitors. Go check that one out. I had a blast with that one. That one is just a fun movie that deals with demons and a host of many other dark things. I sent Kenichi some questions. We didn't connect and talk. So send him some questions and let's dive into those. So I asked, what inspired you in writing and directing this film? He said, I think it's the same all over the world, but the environment surrounding social media in Japan over the past few years has been too excessive. So I've been thinking about tackling this subject in the near future. Then an acquaintance of mine said, the social media of a friend who was supposed to be dead is being updated as if he's still alive. And I thought I'd combine these 2 subjects and make a film, which I personally think is very interesting. Like, taking the state of this world and turning it into a dark story. It works. And then I asked, how did you approach building suspense and fear in the film? He said, usually the film incites fear by making the viewer empathize with the characters. But this time, I wanted to make it so the viewer could barely empathize with the characters. Although this is a film about a curse, it is also a film that depicts the fear of not knowing what people are thinking. 100% true. This digital world is just making our society. Yeah, I'm not going to dive into that. So next I asked, how did you help your actors tap into intense emotions like fear and panic? And he said, I made many changes to the direction and script so that I could bring out the best in each actor and allow them to express the horror they are good at. And then your ghost demon character, your entity, how did you come up with her look? He said the visual of the being that is the embodiment of the curse was based on Taiwanese ghosts. Japanese ghosts wear white clothes and don't stick out their tongues. But Taiwanese ghosts wear red clothes and stick out their tongues, which I found very, very interesting. Then I asked, how did you use silence and stillness to build dread? Sound is a very important element in my filmmaking. I think it's becoming a trend these days to use excessive amounts of sound, but while I use that kind of sound in the opening scene, I significantly reduced the amount of sound in the middle. I thought it was important to have scenes that convey a sense of reality to a generation that understands that movies are fictional and watches YouTube videos of people visiting haunted places. What was the biggest obstacle on this project overall? Before the project started, I thought that working with a Taiwanese cast and staff for the first time would be the biggest problem. However, they were so talented and it wasn't a problem, and they always helped me. It was a truly wonderful team. The biggest problem was the difficulty of bringing the sculptures made in Japan. I was a little nervous about bringing the dummy machetes and severed heads. LOL. How did the audiences react to the film at Fantastic Fest? The audience at Fantastic Fest always gives me the best reaction. I've always wanted to come back since I screened my film Visitors Complete Edition at Fantastic Fest 2 years ago. It's a great motivation for me as a director to have a place I want to come back to. I hope to be able to come back here again. What would you hope audiences take away from your film? I believe that once a film is released, it belongs to the audience, so they are free to react however they like. However, I would be happy if people take home both the creepiness of social media, which is the theme of the film, and the enjoyment of it as entertainment. What's next for The Curse? What's next for you? As I answer this question, it's the same evening as the final Q&A session at Fantastic Fest, but I'm already in Vienna, Austria. The world premiere of Incomplete Chairs, a film about a man who makes chairs out of human materials, is at the Slash Film Festival. I also just finished a body horror film about the love between a parent and child the day before I came to Fantastic Fest. After that, I'm planning to shoot a sci-fi action musical romance comedy in November. I'm intrigued by this sci-fi action musical romance comedy. Kenichi seems like he is just hard at work, doing what he loves, making films. I wish him all the best with The Curse. I enjoyed The Curse. Go check out his other film, Visitors. He had a movie that was part of Fantasia that I didn't get a chance to watch called I Fell in Love with a Z-grade Director in Brooklyn. I'm going to have to watch for that one. I'm going to check out more of Kenichi's films. I've enjoyed what I've seen so far and enjoy seeing what he has for us next. So add The Curse to your watch list and watch for it coming out in the future. All right, next up, let's stay in this social media influencing side of things and talk about Appofeniacs. Appofeniacs is written and directed by Chris Mars Pelliero, stars Sean Gunn, Jermaine Fowler, Scarlett DeMeo, and many others. A young man is obsessed with creating deepfake videos, eagerly finding new ways to exploit the technology. From pornography to manufacturing a racist rant, his videos are incredibly cruel and vile. As his creations are unleashed into the world, he sows havoc with absolutely no regard for the consequences. Lives are ruined and lost, all due to fake videos created for seemingly no good reason at all. Except that the technology exists, so why not use it? This is one of the top films I watched from all of my Fantastic Fest. This movie is real world frightening because we have this advent AI and deepfake video in the world of what can be made, that alone it is horrific. And the way it is used in this movie, deep faking people's faces into pornography or into a racist rant to make a woman seem like she is somebody she's not. And then the influence of social media and the online world, just taking that and blowing it up is just something that can happen in today's age. And then there are scenes in this movie that will make you think of something like a Quentin Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez, or something like that. Like there's an opening scene with this bloody action, and then you end with one too. They kick ass. This movie, it looks fantastic. Everyone in this movie kills it in their roles. The story of this deepfake AI, this kid doing it, why not? I know how to do it. It's easy to do. So this woman at the coffee shop pissed me off, so I'm going to ruin her life just because I can. That is frightening. And then you add in some dark, bloody scenes. This movie kicked ass. 100% fully add Appofeniacs to your watch list. Like I said, this is one of the top ones. This is probably in my top 3 or 4 for what I watched from Fantastic Fest. Let's change gears a little bit, and we're going to talk about Deathstalker. Directed by Steven Kostanski, who directed one of my favorite films, Those Who Know Me, Psycho Gorman. Absolutely love that movie. But this is a remake of a movie from the 80s, Deathstalker. The warrior Deathstalker is tasked by an old witch lady to obtain and unite the 3 powers of creation, a chalice, an amulet, and a sword, lest the evil magician Munkar get them and use them for nefarious purposes. After obtaining the sword, Deathstalker joins with other travelers going to the big tournament to determine the strongest warrior. The false king holds the true princess in captivity and plots to have Deathstalker killed. Deathstalker must fight to free the princess. This movie was awesome. Full of just practical effects, action, the sword and sorcery of like an old 80s, the original Deathstalker. Many scenes in this made me think of Krull. There are these creatures in this film that wear these red suits that come up out of the ground. It made me think, I forgot the name of the creatures in Krull, but they're in all white, this white armor with no faces. It made me think of those creatures. There's other creatures in this that Deathstalker has to fight that are just fully practical effects, bloody fights, so much fun. I absolutely love this. This was the type of film that I would watch growing up, and to be able to get a movie like that again in 2025 just makes me so happy. I know Shout Studios is releasing this in October. It's coming to theaters. I think I'm going to have to go to the theater just to see it up on the big screen, because it would be such a blast to see this with a crowd, to see how they react to this wild, over-the-top practical effects action. Deathstalker was probably one of the top ones I wanted to see. This and Deathgasm 2, which I unfortunately did not get to see Deathgasm 2, but Deathstalker, I love Kostansky's films, Psycho Gorman, Freddy Frico, Leprechaun Returns, The Void. Anything he puts out, I will 100% watch. This gave me all the feels I needed. That old school sword and sorcery movie feels made me, just like Psycho Gorman did for me, it just kind of made me feel like a kid again. Add Deathstalker, if that's the type of a film that you're into, Deathstalker is one that you need to see. So we'll jump to another one that uses some practical effects, but a little in a different way. It's called Beast of War. This is directed by Kia Roach Turner, who also previously did Sting, the spider movie that came out last year. Wormwood, Road of the Dead, Wormwood Apocalypse, which, if you've never seen those, highly recommend. Same with Necrotronic. Love that one so much. So I was excited to see him doing a shark movie set during World War II. When the boat sinks while crossing the Timor Sea during World War II, a troop of young Australian soldiers must find a way to survive the harsh seas on a quickly sinking raft. Hundreds of miles from anywhere, they must confront interpersonal conflicts, enemy attacks, and the advances of one very large, very hungry great white shark. This was a fun one. Your shark is practical effects, so when it comes up attacking people, you can tell it's practical effects shark. That right there bumps it up a notch. And then you have these men, these soldiers. There is a conflict between them. A few of them don't like each other. And then they're stranded on this raft together and have to try to work together. And will they always work together? I don't know. You'll have to watch the movie to see. To try to survive, to try to get out of here alive. This was a good movie. It was a good character movie. Some of these characters, they die off quickly, so you don't have any kind of feelings for them. But you learn more about some of these other characters as it goes along, as this shark is roaming around. How are they going to get out of this? Or are they just going to be dinner? And then you have some Japanese soldiers popping in to try to kill them, planes trying to shoot them, multiple tense moments in this. Highly recommend Beast of War. If you love shark movies, you love World War II movies, you know what? Let's throw them together. You're going to like this. Check out Beast of War. I think it is coming out very soon, and I think it's in October sometime. And like I said, if you haven't seen any of his other films, especially Wormwood, go check those out as well. All right, I only have a few left. I think three left from what I watched. Next up, let's talk Theater is Dead, directed by Catherine Dudas, stars Shane West, Madison Lawler, Colin McCullough, Olivia Blue, and many others. Sheltered Willow auditions for mysterious director Matthew's play, a Greek tragedy adaptation. Enthralled, she ignores dangers and undergoes self-discovery as the lead under his tutelage. This one, I think, might be my favorite watch of everything that I did at Fantastic Fest. This movie was so good. It's one of those, if you've ever been in theater, whether it's a cast or crew or whatnot, or if you just love to have a good time. Like, this movie, so funny. It's got like a quirky comedy to it. Shane West is so good as this director. Decker Sadowski, who plays Willow in this movie, I didn't mention her at the beginning. She's awesome. And there's, oh man, I don't remember what her character's name is, but there's another character. She's like this goth girl. She's so funny. And I was fully engaged in this movie, laughing so much with these quirky characters because they all kind of have this quirk to them. And I've been around a few theater productions and seen people like this. It just made me laugh. It takes a dark turn, but not in a direction I thought it was going to go. I thought it was going to go a different way than it did. And it surprised me when it turned this other way. And then it got even funnier because there are some one-liners that I'm not going to repeat because it will give away which way it rolls into. Just made me laugh. This is a movie. Theater is dead. This is one I will buy on physical media, which I hope it eventually gets a physical release. This is one that I want to own, that I will watch over and over again. It's just that good. This is my top movie that I watched for Fantastic Fest because it hit just the right spot. The comedy was perfectly timed. You take this dark turn that you didn't see. I thought it was going to turn into, we're going to start killing off the actors in this theater in some way. Some of them might die, but we'll let you watch the movie to find out. It just gets funnier as it rolls along up into this end. Theater is dead. My top movie from Fantastic Fest. A movie you should put at the top of your list if you love comedy, horror, theater, mix it all together. You know, think Glee or something like that, but darker. So good. So good. Theater is dead. Go check it out. All right, my last two are a little darker. They can play with along with each other. I have Dolly, directed by Rod Blackhurst. Macy, a young woman abducted by a deranged monster-like figure who wants to raise her as their child. So this is very much influenced by Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You're kind of dropped into this story. There isn't a lead up to kind of what is happening. You have this big character with a doll mask and dressed in like this dress that just jumps in. You jump right in. Who is this person? What is going on? They have a childishness to them, very much how Leatherface does. And then as you go along, you kind of get pieces of a bigger story. It doesn't give you a whole lot. It kind of gives you pieces to open up this world a bit more. And make sure you stay till the very end of the credits because there is an in-credit scene that kind of opens it up just a bit more. And this is based on a short film that Rod Blackhurst did called Baby Girl, which you can watch on YouTube if you want to see that. And that one is kind of cool because it's kind of a perspective of our captor. So the movie kind of takes it a little different turn. Sean William Scott is in this, and poor guy just kind of gets messed up. I'm not going to say what happens to him. You have to watch the movie to see what happens to him. But Dolly was a very, very good watch. If you love like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Dustin from Flicks and Friends, he told me Hills Run Red, which I haven't seen. It reminded him a little bit of that. But in all honesty, I want to see more in this world because it gives you pieces that there is a bigger world with bigger things happening. It doesn't fully give you the whole story. It kind of keeps little things to your brain to figure out on your own, which I like that, and opens it up to Dolly 2. So we'll see. But yeah, add Dolly to that list. Every one of these movies on here, add it to your list. And the final film from Fantastic Fest I'll talk about, it is called Meat Kills. Directed by Martin Smith. Mirth, a member of the Animal Army, secretly films a pig farm's horrors, freeing its children but facing a bloody battle between Nasha's Vengeance, and The Farmer's Fury. So this is another one kind of along the same lines as Dolly. You have a darker story with the family. Again, we mentioned Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where you have this family with dark secrets. And that's kind of what we have here in Meat Kills. And you have these animal activists who are trying to infiltrate this pig slaughter farm to get some footage to kind of take them down and be like, it's inhumane. They go in to originally start to kind of spray paint walls and do other things. Things go dark. And in all honesty, when it comes down to it, there isn't very many people on either side of this story that you 100% want to root for, because they both have dark secrets and different agendas as they kind of are killing each other off as they're going through. And the ending was a bit of a surprise of what happens to one of our characters by some other character. I'm not going to spoil that. I'm not going to say it's shocking, but when it gets to the point, you're like, okay, this kind of makes sense of where this went. There's no shortage of blood. There's no shortage of carnage. No shortage of kills in this. I mean, it's right in the title, Meat Kills. So we're in a pig meat farm and people are dying. So there you go. Meat Kills, the last one to add to your list to watch for in the future. And that is my last film for Fantastic Fest 2025 of what I watched. It was so great being able to cover Fantastic Fest again. Like I said, I watched 12 movies. I'd probably say my top 3, Theater is Dead, Appofeniacs, Marama, but all 12 films in this, some I loved more than others and just had so much fun with them. Deathstalker, Theater is Dead, Coyotes. I mean, there was a good mix of horror comedies, straight horror, slow burn, drama, thriller, horror. And this year, I said it before, I thought was stronger than 2024. So I'm looking forward to 2026. Can't wait to see what movies will come out for that. That will do it for my recap of Fantastic Fest 2025. I know there was a lot. This is a long episode. 12 movies I went through. Make sure you subscribe to the show because I am going to be covering Screamfest very soon. I just got approved for that. So we'll have some more watches. I don't think I'll have as many watches as I did for Fantastic Fest, only because I won't have tons of time. I have a Tales from Tubi series coming in October. The October Anthologies of Horror. 5 films, 5 guests, 5 weeks. Make sure you subscribe and you won't miss those. I'll be back soon with a brand new episode. Just snuggle up in that blanket, turn off the lights, because it's okay to be scared. We'll talk to you later, everybody.